Well, just when you think the Snow White fallout couldn't get worse for Rachel Zegler, it all just gets a whole lot worse, and we're going to be covering everything that has been going on over the past 24 hours when it comes to Snow White and Rachel Zegler, because this whole situation just continues to get more and more insane, and it gets worse and worse for Rachel Zegler, okay? This is absolutely going to be the end of Rachel Zegler when it comes to her career in Hollywood, at least in major productions, most likely because everyone is starting to realize that she is major pain to work with, and especially when you start to become on the naughty list in Hollywood, you start to lose on opportunities. Like, we have even one of Snow White's producer's sons just completely ripping apart Rachel Zegler, and this whole thing is just crazy, man. And if you think that is bad enough, it gets even worse for Rachel Zegler after that. Zegler signed an August 2023 X post in which she urged people to check out the Snow White official trailer with a line that said, "And always remember, free Palestine." And as we know, this of course got Disney very, very upset that Rachel Zegler said this. And in fact, they flew out one of their producers, Mark Platt, to go to Rachel Zegler to talk to her about this. Mark Platt flew to New York to speak directly to Rachel Zegler. And of course, all the weirdos all over the internet are saying,
"Ugh, that's so super weird that Mark Platt flew out to see a young woman like this."
And this is exactly the type of stuff that Mark Platt's son, who is an actor in Hollywood, absolutely just goes scorched earth about. Someone said,
"Your dad flew to New York City to reprimand a young actress? Any words on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech, no? Shame on your father."
And then Jonah Platt, the son of the producer that flew out to Rachel Zegler, absolutely unloads. And it is glorious to see. You really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she was signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. He absolutely cooked here, bro. You can feel the anger and the frustration coming through the screen with what he is saying here. Rachel Zegler is becoming a major, major problem to Hollywood, and you're at a point where you have people like producers like Mark Platt and his son Jonah Platt and people like Steven Spielberg. They're all saying they don't want people to work with Rachel Zegler anymore. This is absolutely devastating to Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler's Snow White is officially the worst movie of all time on IMDb. And I think it is now at 1.6 if I'm not mistaken. But this is this is such a major disaster for Disney in every way possible. And like I said, I do not feel bad for them whatsoever, okay? They were the ones that decided to hire Rachel Zegler for DEI reasons for her to be in this film. They should have known what they were getting themselves into, at least to some extent, by doing that. And yet, here we are. And she's getting, like, we're seeing more and more insane stuff about Rachel Zegler coming out. This was another tweet that has been going around that Rachel Zegler said to Jeremy Renner, who plays, of course, Hawkeye. And this is something that Rachel Zegler said to Jeremy Renner. "Actually, I think the new Hawkeye should be a transformer woman of color to stick it to that racist, sexist, transformer-phobic garbage monster." That is what she decided to call Jeremy Renner. And of course, Jeremy Renner has at least quite a bit of influence in Hollywood to a certain extent. This does not look good for her to go after Jeremy Renner in this way. She is completely unhinged, and she is burning all of her bridges just for her to virtue signal and stand on a woke soapbox. How is that working out for you now, Rachel Zegler? This was something else that she said, of course, where she said,
F you, Trump.
which of course is just, that's just typical Hollywood stuff. And then someone apparently reprimanded her for this or something. And so then she responded, yep, I am a nasty, nasty B word. This whole thing is completely imploding on her, and it is insane to watch. But, it could have happened to a nicer person. Actually, no, she isn't a nice person. She said so herself. She said that she is a nasty, nasty B word. And I agree. So, with all that being said, let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all in another video very soon.